Hello and welcome to another edition of You Too Can, our weekly series where we take lessons from this book. We try and look at some of the entrepreneurs, their stories and the lessons that we might learn from their lives. And for today's lesson, we're going to go all the way to Kota, to that sleepy little town in Rajasthan. What do you think of when you think of Kota? Yep, IIT coaching classes. Have you ever wondered how is it that the sleepy little town actually became the center for all the IIT coaching that happens in our country? Interesting story, as I discovered as I met the founders of Rao IIT Academy. To cut a long story short, there's a nice little connect between IIT coaching classes and a company called JK Synthetics. There used to be a man called VK Bansal who worked there, and unfortunately he had this fairly serious disorder, which kind of made it difficult for him to use his limbs, and fearing for a livelihood, he actually got into coaching kids to get into IIT entrance, into the IITs. He did well, and then many years later, in 1997 actually, when JK Synthetics had a lockout, a whole lot of engineers working there found themselves unemployed and suddenly discovered that maybe they could join their old colleague, Mr. Bansal, and set up their own version of an IIT coaching class. And that's how you have all these coaching classes now in Kota. For the lesson today, I must tell you something interesting that I heard from this young man, Vinay, who is the son-in-law of Professor Rao of Rao IIT Academy. And he shared lots and lots of very interesting lessons on what it takes to get it right in the education business. One lesson that particularly struck in my head was when Vinay said to me that most entrepreneurs tend to underestimate the time it takes to succeed. And his point was pretty simple. He says most businesses fail not because they don't have a great idea or because they don't execute well. Most fail because they underestimate how long it takes for them to succeed. He says, if you think you'll succeed in 3 years, give yourself another 3 years. Make sure you have enough of the rations and the firepower and the cash to survive an additional 3 years. I think it's interesting advice. He says, dream big, let your ambition be very large, but when it comes to planning your resources, be realistic. Give yourself the time to succeed. And I think that's an important lesson for all of us, whether we are entrepreneurs or not. We tend to underestimate how long it takes to succeed. So what happens? Either give up too soon, or we quickly find ourselves moving away from a great idea because we don't have the staying power to survive the duration that it takes to succeed. I love that story of a football coach who, when his team lost a game, he said, we didn't really lose this game, we just ran out of time. Maybe there's a message in that for all of us. Make sure you don't run out of time. Don't underestimate how long it takes to succeed. Get the time right, and then you'll discover you too can get it right.